Now, I'm not saying I'm a fan of Andrew Tate. I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of Andrew Tate. I'm just saying that because of what he was saying today, there's been a lot of speculation about what could be or what could not be about Bitcoin in the future. And look, when you have someone as, let's face it, he is very influential over people and he speaks with such conviction. He has this sense of very grounded persuasion in his way of speaking. And I'm not saying that he's right, I'm not saying that he's wrong, but let's leave that as it is for the time being. Let's focus on what's actually important, which is, will this prediction of his be true? And is it likely that it is true? And why is it important to talk about this? Well, privacy when it comes to Bitcoin is important. And this is exactly what Andrew Tate was referring to. Okay, this is exactly what he was aiming to, from what I could tell, influence into people, was that you need to be taking privacy more seriously and that AI is going to be trained to take your money. Why? Because literally the crypto blockchain can, like, is it possible to be hacked with AI? Who knows? Who knows what's possible with AI? Because the computing power is just so much more drastic than humans can really comprehend because of the types of computational styles and power that it holds. Okay, so is it possible? I don't know. And I think that it's wise then to put it into cold storage for this reason. If you don't have your Bitcoin or any other kind of crypto, I don't exclusively have Bitcoin and crypto in the same umbrella, but I do think that if you do not have your Bitcoin or crypto or whatever it is in some kind of form of cold storage wallet, it's very important to do so. Okay, and if you don't know how to do that, I did make a video just a couple weeks ago on how to put your crypto or Bitcoin into cold storage. And this is why you and look, like, that's a safeguard, yes, and that's one big thing. You hold the keys to the vault, so to speak, right? However, you don't need to get it from Amazon or any other place other than the manufacturer. Do not get, if you do get a cold storage wallet, don't get it from just some eBay or Amazon, whatever. Get it from the actual manufacturer, and if you see that it's tampered with in any way, shape, or form at all, just send it back. Okay, don't even try, because there have been stories about people who have, lots of money on their Trezors or whatever. And actually, it's not really Trezor. Trezor's never had a, as far as my research goes, Trezor has never had a hack onto their specific cold storage wallets, but there have been other cold storage wallets that do have hacks, okay? And most of these were purchased through Amazon or whatnot, or eBay or whatever. So you just have to be wise with this kind of decision and this kind of stuff when it comes to the reality of, yes, AI could potentially be trained to rob you through online, because who isn't using cryptocurrencies right now? Anybody with money, and this is something else that Andrew Tate talked about, which I think was a very poignant point. Whether you like or dislike the guy, he made some interesting points there. And it's absolutely the case that it's entirely possible for Bitcoiners to go to jail because of this in the future. Why? Because, well, if you have your stuff on a cold storage wallet and they're able to extract all of the money from everything, right? Well, you're using AI. This is a possibility that, okay, whoever has Bitcoin on a cold storage wallet, we're going to round them up. And how do you know that exactly? Well, AI can potentially, is it possible? I don't know exactly, but it's potentially possible for AI to scan through all of the different kinds of wallets and such and identify who goes where and how goes what and what goes where and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, it's absolutely possible. Perhaps. Okay, I wouldn't worry about it right now, though. What I would worry about more so, and what I think is going to be more important in the long run, is identifying how to diversify assets. Okay, you have to wage war on your debt. You have to wage war on the financial system as a whole. Okay, do people not realize how in war we are, and how if you are walking with God, and I'm not trying to force people into following Christ or anything like that, but because it's very important to me and because I see spirituality and finances to be very closely knit, you have to recognize that your faith will influence your finances. And if you're trying to use your finances to fill a void of faith, you're never going to be internally rich. And you might have all the diversified assets in the world, but you feel like you can't give up those material things. Because every single person that I've known that actually has like a 7-figure portfolio or whatnot, they know that if they lost it all, they can make it again. And that's just their mindset. And I've seen many different kinds of people and heard many different kinds of stories. Like I'm sure you've heard about these billionaires or these multimillionaires that lost everything, right? They lost everything. And then they were able to make it back. Well, how were they able to make it back? Well, because they had faith in themselves and with God most of the time. It's not always about God for some of these multi-millionaires or billionaires, but there are some that are. And I think that there's something to be said about that. And this is one of the reasons why, okay, gold, silver, these are going to be very basic foundational assets for you to have in the future, apart from Bitcoin. Because I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I love Bitcoin. I think the potential for it is sky's the limit, but at the same time, I don't think that we ought to just cast aside these things or these possibilities. Andrew Tate, could he be saying things just to get inflammatory attention? Perhaps. Yeah, because he's done that before. But I think that overall, what he had to say about this specifically was a series of good points to make, and how we need to be more mindful of our privacy. Just in general, we don't need to be so afraid of privacy. It's not a bad thing to have privacy, and in many places of the world, privacy is already considered like kind of a, just a farce. It's kind of strange how that is, and it's kind of strange how there's so many people in the world that do not have that capacity, that do not have that ability to see reality as it truly is, and to see that privacy is almost essential for you as a human being. Because if you don't have your privacy, you don't have your faith. And if you don't have your faith, then what do you really have? I mean, can you grasp the ocean? Can you hold on to the ocean? Trying to hold on to the material things in reality is really just trying to grasp the ocean. But people don't recognize that because they don't recognize the realness that is life, and how this whole reality is basically like an Xbox game. It's a super high-tech Xbox game, and you can do anything that you want. And Bitcoin is a mathematical possible solution in which freedom can be had. However, yes, AI can absolutely, we have no, like a lot of people think AI is just about memes or whatever, or images, or funny videos or whatnot, and it's like you have no freaking clue what AI could do. I don't think even the people that know what AI can do even know what AI can do, because of the computational power is just so strong. But I think that I said everything I wanted to say in this video. I hope that everybody has a blessed day. If you're stacking right now during the bear market, I don't really believe in bear markets for Bitcoin personally, but I did see that Bitcoin went down to like 94,000 or something today, which is the lowest it's been in a long time. And look, it's normal to go down this low. Is it the volatility, like as far as the percentage goes in a bear market? Now, is the volatility and the quickness of the volatility normal? Not really. Not exactly this quick. And the reason being is because I think that Bitcoin, because it's a free sovereign system, let's say. Let's call it a sovereign system. Because Bitcoin is a sovereign system, it's going to have that kind of fluctuation. And look, it's just going to be the way that it is. That's how freedom kind of works. It's not predictable. And yes, it's nice to have guaranteed outcomes, but sometimes you got to be able to take a risk and just trust the process. And I think that that's what, if you actually understand what Bitcoin is, that's what you're doing right now. Okay, you're taking in these ideas from people online, or even like myself. You're taking in these ideas, but you're thinking for yourself at the end of the day. You're getting a different perspective, but you're thinking for yourself. And that's what's going to be most important. So I hope you all have a blessed rest of your day. Peace. Until next time.